Nowadays it seems that most, if not all big-budget AAA games revolve around human characters. The game industry seems to have taken taste in pursuing reality in that point of its narrative. However, there was a time where non-human protagonists were the bomb. Mostly in the 90s that was. And while we still get Kirby, Sonic and Pokemon games at a regular basis, there are many characters of this kind that kinda fell into obscurity to some degree. I'm here today to highlight the ones that I feel are missed the most. Ones that haven't got a new game out in at least 9 years or so. I'll only count characters that were the flagships of their franchises. If the franchise evolved to a point of that character not being the center of it anymore, but the franchise continued, like Spyro with Skylanders, it doesn't count. I'm talking about main releases in their franchises, so cameos in other places, like in fighting games for example, don't count. Ports, remakes and remasters don't count. Only original new releases with the said character in the center of it. Let's start. Number 7 is Kemonoa. Kemonoa is a character from Konami. Kemonoa is cute and lives in a bright fantasy world. Both the character and the universe he is in display a lot of charisma. His games are platforming, probably the most popular genre in the 90s. He can flap his big ears to stay more time airborne, and his last cameo was on Famista Dream Match, released in 2014 for mobile devices. The number 6 is Amaterasu. Amaterasu is actually a sun goddess in the Japanese Shinto religion. In the game, the goddess takes the form of a wolf in order to save the world from darkness. Although Okami hasn't sold well, it was critically acclaimed and was one of the strongest franchises to debut non-human characters on that decade. We got a sequel for Okami called Okamiden. It was released in 2010 and it stars Amaterasu's son, but I don't know if I should count that one. You know, it's a different character. It's weird, I don't know. Okami is a 3D action-adventure game. Amaterasu can use the powers of a magical brush that creates and destroys physical objects with its ink. This world's design is unique and elegant. In 2011, Amaterasu appeared on Marvel vs. Capcom 3 as a playable fighter. In 2012, she made a cameo in the game Asura's Wrath. She had a brief but memorable appearance in the gaming world. Maybe we'll get more of her soon, who knows. The number 5 is Rash. Oh yeah, this one is my favorite of the list. He's the main frog in the beaten up series that is Battletoads. Or that was Battletoads. Unfortunately, 2D beaten ups lost the huge popularity they had in the early 90s, especially the ultra hard ones. And Battletoads, my friends, was really hard. The first game of the franchise is still considered one of the hardest games ever. This radical frog and his friends can distort their body as to form horns, hammers, spikes, and other weapons in order to destroy their foes. This is the most tubular character you'll see in this video, but hey, at least he appeared as a full-fledged fighter in the newest Killer Instinct. He debuted there in 2016.
These cameos are killing me!
Supreme victory!
The number 4 is Conker. Despite having starred in his first game in 2001, Conker's first appearance was in 1997's Diddy Kong Racing as one of the playable pilots. But then Rare decided to make an unexpected use of the character by giving him an edgy personality and putting him in a 3D platforming game full of strong language and adult themes. No explicit sex there, only drinking, cursing and some other nasty stuff. Who would have thought that That Smile Squirrel would turn out to be such a bad example for kids? We saw Conker again briefly in 2005 at Conker Live and Reloaded, a remake of Bad Fur Day for the Xbox, which also added a multiplayer mode. Who knows what kind of trouble this squirrel could have gotten into since then. The number 3 is Earthworm Jim. Here's another one that had a brief but strong appearance. This guy is a worm wearing a robotic armor and using a laser gun to adventure. Most of his games are shoot 'em up or run and gun, as you can say, 2D games. Like many franchises of the 2D era, this one didn't survive in the third dimension. When Earthworm Jim 3D was sold in 1999, it was a failure. In the same year, another 2D game of the series was released, but fans complained that it had lost the charm of the two first and best games. A high-definition remake of the first game of this worm was released in 2010 for PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360, and that's the last we saw of him. The number 2 is Crash Bandicoot. Crash was Sony's first attempt to make a mascot to compete directly with Mario. He debuted on 3D platforming games, where he spinned, jumped, and interacted with the scenario to progress on his adventure. As years passed, Crash lost Sony's focus and became a multi-platform franchise. Apparently, his most recent game was released in 2010, a mobile karting game. But that one, as many others from the franchise that came out during the 2000s, can be considered to be a spin-off. That is, I believe most fans from the original 3D platforming Crash games might not take the numerous mobile games of the franchise seriously. That is why I find it hard to pinpoint when this guy has lost his shine. But the thing I can be sure of is he's got a strong fan base, but we practically haven't seen him since 2011. There is a remake of the first 3 Crash games coming out for PS4 this year. It will be called Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy. What a badass name. Welcome back, dude. The number 1 is Banjo. Yo-ho! Banjo, Banjo, Banjo. Here's another one that first appeared in Diddy Kong Racing before having his own game. This bear made a big impact with his debut game, Banjo-Kazooie, on the Nintendo 64. It was a very successful and engaging 3D platformer game. In 2000 we got Banjo-Tooie, a sequel also on the Nintendo 64. Then we got a Game Boy Advance game in 2003 and in 2008 the bomb fell. Nuts and bolts for Xbox 360 derived too much from their formula that made the franchise so loved by the fans. It was not well received. But that's not hard to understand. The team that made Nuts and Bolts was completely different from the one that created the first Banjo game. The original creators of Banjo, by the way, have started their own company and released a spiritual successor 3D platformer called Yooka-Laylee this year. But as far as Banjo and his red feather friend Kazooie are concerned, well, Banjo is a playable pilot in Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing, released in 2010, and that's the last we saw of him. When Nintendo opened a poll for fans to vote for which characters they wanted to be included in Super Smash Bros. 4, Banjo and Kazooie ranked high among the desired characters. However, they didn't make it. Perhaps they barely didn't have enough votes, or perhaps the relationship between Rare and Nintendo was not helping it. Now all that is left is for us to wait and see if this bear will make another appearance worthy of his name. That's it, friends! I really do miss non-human protagonists in games. They bring such a unique personality to their franchises. Don't you think? Tell us in the comments! We are the gaming generation, we talk about everything gaming, we've got memes, reviews and videos like this one. Check out our Facebook and our YouTube for awesome content. And I am Leo Saron. I've got my channel Leo Saron Games on YouTube and Facebook. Check it out for awesome crazy gaming videos. Awesome crazy gaming videos. Awesome crazy gaming videos. Awesome crazy gaming videos. Leo Saron Games. Check it out. Yeah, besides making videos and talking about games, I'm also an artist. I am accepting commissions and I am eager to work for you. So if you want anything from me, just let me know. My friends, see you next video. Until then, try and play something that has a non-human protagonist. I guess you'll have lots of fun with it. Bye bye. Crash was Sony's first attempt to make a mascot to compete directly. Crash was Sony's first attempt to make a mascot to compete directly with Mario. Now all that is all that is left